We're here solving an inequality, and we solve it much in the same way as we solve an equation. All right, how do we solve an equation? Somebody raise your hand. Raise your hand. Do not holler out. Raise your hand and tell me how you solve an equation. Raise your hand. Anybody can? Yes.
By looking at, is it?
And this is something totally different.
Oh, I know.
What?
By figuring out the variable.
By finding the variable. So, what do we do? What do we do when we are solving for an equation? What do we do as it relates to the variable?
If
What?
you do multiplication, then you divide. If you're doing division,
Okay.
you do multiplication.
Okay.
You do adding. If you do subtraction, you do subtraction, you do adding.
Awesome. Awesome.
You do it backwards.
That's great. Yeah. So, in so many words, what's the term we're looking for? What she was talking about? The inverse operation. Good job. Inverse operation. Now, the inverse operation actually does something. That's the point I'm trying to get to. What does doing the inverse do as it relates to solving equations and inequalities? Same thing. What does it do? If I got, that's a +3, right? So what am I going to do to solve this? By doing what? Subtracting 3. When I subtract 3, what does it do? What does it do?
It gives us the answer.
Huh?
The X value. It gives us the X value.
Bro, I
It does
said,
it. What?
I said
It gives us the X.
Excuse me, one at a time. Yes.
It gives us the X value.
The X.
Value.
The X value.
The variable.
So how does that do that? What I'm looking for is what is our goal when we do the inverse operation? What are we trying to do? Yes.
To get a value,
Get a value, but in getting that value, what are we doing?
you're getting an answer.
see what X equals.
I'm gonna do this. Do anybody remember when we went through, when we first talked about solving equations, the first step was, let me see if anybody has it in their notes. Did anybody have it in their notes? Can anybody refer back to their notes? You should have. Did anybody have any notes that can tell me what's the first step in solving an equation?
You look
'Cause I know
at,
we-
let me guess. You look at
It's only 3 words I'm looking for. I'm looking for 3 words. I'm looking for 3 words.
Look at the simplify the
Look
equation.
at, the,
What do they call them?
I don't know.
If I want Eric, if he is too much going on over here and I have to put him over there, what am I doing?
Remember I said it.
Did we talk about that in an earlier lesson? Do you remember that? What did we say we had to do? We had to do what?
We have to isolate the variable.
Isolate the variable. Come on, folks. Come on. Isolate the variable. So we got X and the variable. And X is hanging out. X is hanging out with his partner, with his road dog. Who is he hanging out with?
3.
He's hanging out with 3. He don't need to be hanging out with 3. He needs to be alone, doesn't he? Or she. Doesn't. In order for me to find out, I need to get X alone and by itself, correct?
Yep.
All right? Do we understand? Let me give you some perspective on that. Say, for instance, we got, okay, this right here. We got this here. We have the speaker, these keys. We have this here, a couple of these here, and this, okay? All of this together. Let's say we got all of this together. Let's say this right here, we don't know what the value is on this, okay? This here represents the what?
X.
The variable, right? Why does it represent the variable and none of these? Because this is unknown. This is unknown. We know the values of each one of these individually, okay? We know the values of each one of these individually, but we don't know the value of this. One thing we do know though, we know all of this together is $25. Now we're not realistically talking, we just working numbers. We're just working numbers. All this together is $25, okay? We got that, right?
Yeah.
Where would the 25 go in the equation of inequality? Where would it go?
It would go by 5.
It would go where the 5 is, right? Awesome. All this is 25. We don't know what this is. We know what all of these are, but we don't know this. So this here is X. Okay? Let's say this right here. This here is $2. So now we're gonna subtract 2. So now what is all this together is now?
23.
23. This here is 2 more. Now what is all this?
21.
This here is 1 and 1. Now what is this now?
19.
19, right? Now we know all this is 19, and we know these here, but we don't know this here. Now, what about this here? This here is 1, so 18. This here is 4. So what we got here now? 14. 14, right? All right, this here is what, 2? And this here is 2.
10.
10.
So that means
Now,
that the speaker's
we have isolated the one unknown, the variable. Now that we have isolated it, can we now say
That's 10.
that's 10? Same premise, same concept here.
Yeah.
I want us to understand why we are isolating the variable. We're isolating the variable so we can remove all of those things that are clouding our ability to find out what it is. If we don't know what the value of something is, if we remove everything except that unknown value, that's considering the fact we knew from the beginning what all of it together, the 25, or the 5 in that case, if we know what all of it was together, we just remove everything except for what we don't know. And then it's apparent to us what the value is. Eric, please sit up, sir.
It's 10.
Please sit up, sir. Does that make some sense? Does it give it any, does it open and broaden your thinking in terms of why we isolate the variable?
Yep.
Because once we get that by itself, then
We know the value.
we know what the value is. So now moving on to this here. Now, what do I do here? -3, right? Am I finished?
Nope.
What I got to do now?
X minus 3.
Right.
And then remove the
Below
3
5.
from the X.
All right. Now, this right here, +3 and a -3 is what?
0.
Nothing. So all I'm gonna do here is what?
X.
X. Now, what am I gonna bring down here? Equal?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put equal?
Yeah.
X. Why would I put out equal? That's
Because you still have to figure it out.
but we're not doing an equation. We're doing inequality. I just put a little trickeration on you there. Just throw a little trickeration. A little trickeration in there. Yeah. See, I just said it. So we pull out an equal sign and you step right into trickeration. Hey, hey, always think before you go and say, yep, you're right. Because Eric, stand up, please, sir. Just stand up for me. Just stand up for me. Just stand up for me.
Kamora, you too.
Just stand up. Stand up. Okay. Now I have removed the variable X from its road dog 3.
Eric.
So now X is standing alone. I see X for what it really is now.
X is 1.
X is single. Okay. So now what am I gonna bring down here? What am I gonna bring down?
You're going to bring down that 5 down left hand sign.
Less than.
Then you're going to subtract 5 and 3.
Which is 2.
So, and then now.
And
That's
then.
what? And then X, okay, wait.
X,
That's-
two.
that's-
X is
equals
less
to-
than 2.
So that
X
means
is
it's 1.
less
That
than
means
2.
1.
Huh?
So
Oh, it could,
negative 0 on the
hold up.
If 5
Oh, it could be 2, it could be 0. If I put, instead of X, if I put 0 plus 3 is less than 5, that is true. Because that's 3. 3 is less than 5. I can put 1. 1 plus
Oh, you did it
3
the wrong way.
is less. Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you. Thank you for focusing, pay attention. 1 plus 3 is less than 5. That is true because that's 4. But it can't be 2 plus
Because it'll be equal.
3 is less than 5 because that's equal. So I'm saying X has to be less than 2. Now, the last thing that we're gonna do is graph it. We're gonna graph it. So I'm gonna make me a number line. Don't we graph using a number line? And I'm gonna put 0, 1, 2, 3.
-1.
-1. Because it's negative. It's negative. Okay, so what goes on here? An open circle or a closed circle?
No,
Oh, that's closed.
Huh?
No, it's open.
Why is it open?
Because it don't have a solution.
Come on. Hey, you got your notes? Stop guessing and look at what we talked about yesterday.
Because it don't have a,
It doesn't have, it's called less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. That means that I'm going to put on here where it's less, it's supposed to be 5. So I'm supposed to carry this a little bit further, my fault. 4, 5. Or should I? All right. So I'm going to put, what did I say? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. No.
Stop leaning on the table.
X is less than 2.
Eric,
So I'm gonna put a circle,
stand up.
put a circle on the
No,
2.
stand up.
Is that an open circle or a closed circle? That's an open circle. And which way is the arrow gonna go? To the left. Now, to understand, so we can understand the difference in the open circle and closed circle philosophy. How would that circle be closed? How can that circle be closed?
If
What
you
would
put
I
a
do?
line under it, that makes it on the line.
If I put
If
a
it makes
line
sense,
under
then or
it,
equal to.
then, or not under here, excuse me. Yeah, if I put a line under it, that means the line will be under here too.
Yeah, what
So
makes it
now,
or equal to.
now the inequality says X is less than, but it can also be equal to 2. So not only all of these numbers here that are less than 2 are part of the what? What set? Solution. Who said it? Solution, not the solution, but call it what it is, because in inequalities, there's more than one solution. So it's a part of the solution what? Look in your notes. Look in your notes. Part of the solution what? Hey, see, this is what ticks me off, because I tell everybody when we start to get out your spirals, get out your notebook, and then we